Good evening. Today we've got Marco from Vincent Girardin, who's going to be leading our tasting at Reserve Wines this evening. Marco, thanks for joining us.
But thank you for welcoming me first.
We've just got a few questions for you this evening. Thank you very much for going through these with us. Marco, what is it about the wines of Vincent Girardin that makes them unique in a wine producing area with so many reputed and also inconsistent growers?
It's a good question. I can say what makes the wine of Vincent Girardin unique. I think it's not only the wine of Vincent Girardin, it's the unicity of Burgundy. What makes unique Burgundy? And Vincent started in 82, starting the time that oenologic methods arrive, new technology, and he used this technology. But few years ago, in 2007 to be exact, he refused to be so intervention in the wine. So we can say when he was young, he used a lot of techniques, and since the 2007 vintage, he used less and less techniques. And I can say even nothing. What makes the unicity of the wine of Vincent is the terroir where Vincent bought the land. Today, if you taste Puligny Folatière for Vincent, it will be first in your mind coming a Puligny Folatière. When you will taste Chassagne Clos du Queyret, you will have the breathing of the Chassagne Clos du Queyret. You will have the terroir will speak more than speak the hand of the winemaker. That makes the unicity of Vincent wine.
The wines are all produced biodynamically. Is this the way all Burgundy growers are going, or will the production and consumption of biodynamic wines from Burgundy continue to be regarded as niche?
I think we have to think about Burgundy as being a very little region in France. If you look at Burgundy, it's 3% of the wine production in France. If you see the number of hectares in Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune is less than 10,000 hectares. I think in France it's one of the regions where you can bring biodynamic solutions to bring life back to the soil, but having in mind that we have in little structure. Today the average structure in Burgundy is 7 hectares to 8 hectares. So it's possible for one person to work in biodynamic way. I can understand that when you have a huge parcel, it's more work, more difficult economically. It costs money to go in this way, but you find back in the wine what you invest in time and also in products, in natural products. And I think Burgundy, we have the chance to do that, and I think it's not a niche. I see more the biodynamic way of working as being the natural way of working your land. And honestly, we don't use this as a marketing way to bring. We use that only to bring a good wine on the table. After, it's the customer choose. He will choose the quality or something else. But it is his point of view.
Although the wines are produced biodynamically, they're made using very modern winemaking technologies you mentioned before. Isn't this a contradiction?
It's a contradiction if you use a lot of techniques. For example, to be honest, you have to use modern tools. I think if you use a stainless steel thermoregulated stainless steel tank to vinify the reds, it's a very good tool in order to have something very proper. For us, for example, if you mention the techniques, modern techniques, we stop using punching down the cap, because we notice that for the red it extracts a lot of tannins that will not be very balanced after with the aging. So we use now pumping over, something very more easy. Before, if you go in the old times, the people were filling a basket with wine down on the cuve, on the steel tank. It was not steel tank at the time, it was wood tank, and they were putting the basket up, and they were putting the wine up in order to put juice on the skins in order to extract a little bit color. It was very easy, and we go back with this method, but using, for example, peristatic pump, using a way of spreading the wine back on the top of the tank, having something a little bit more uniform. That is techniques. But I think the techniques in enology are very interesting when you use the tools, but not when you use some technique to extract too much. Because when you extract too much the grape varietal, but you cover after the terroir. It's a risk.
In Burgundy, we see a focus on the importance of terroir more than perhaps anywhere else in the world. How would you sell this viewpoint to a customer who is more interested in, say, value for money more than provenance and regional expression?
It's always the question of the... It's a unique terroir. I said Burgundy, the geologic formation of Burgundy is something, if you look, it's first sedimentation of chalk of tropical sea, after it's a combination of a breaking down of the soil of the 30 million years ago that make appears all the layers of chalk. That is unique. After, you have to think about the very little... The estate are 7 hectares, and 7 hectares estate means that perhaps in the 7 hectares he has 15 to 20 appellations spread all over Burgundy, sometimes in Côte de Beaune, but sometimes for the same estate based in Côte de Beaune and in Côte de Nuit. So a lot of work, movement, a lot of things. And you have to think also that you are working in very thin production. There is rarity, and it's normal that you have a certain price for that. But for Vincent Girardin, honestly, and it's one of the strong points of the Vincent Girardin wines, we are really deep on the quality, but we try to maintain really a price affordable. A wine is made to be drink, I think, and not to be stock like a stock exchange, and even to be shared with friends. It's the way that we think the wine.
We've heard a lot about the 2009 vintage in Burgundy. The red structured, the whites perhaps a bit less so, but both with a lot of easy to please fruit. Is this how you would characterize the 2009 vintage?
A little bit different, because the reds is totally different from the 05. When the 05 you have structure, tannin, packed, that needs time. In 09 we have very silky tannins. We have deep fruit, deep representation of the terroir, very beautiful reds that will be more affordable now, accessible, than the 05, we can say, in the next few years. For the whites, the key was to pick up very early and having some techniques to really maintain the freshness of the wine. For example, in the racking that we are going to do afters, in the way to press the wine, to press a little bit more in order to have a little bit more lees, in order to enrich the wine, to take off the steering the lees in order not to having big Chardonnay. But the real key was to pick up very early, to maintain a good acidity. It will be very more uniform for the red and very heterogeneous for the white. The white you will find big things with a lot of alcohol and things very fine, very elegant. What we produce, but we have to wait to test them in the 09, and I think the customer will see that.
Finally, Bordeaux is already hinting that 2010 could be as good as, if not better than 2009. Can you give us any hints as to how it will turn out in Burgundy?
But honestly, the whites are beautiful. Today we are very happy. The reds, it was very challenging vintage because we have disease everywhere, we have to salt a lot, but we achieve now, when we taste the wine, we are almost very happy. It was a vintage to not extract a lot. It was a vintage, if we compare, we can go in something like 07, 08, something with a fruit, a good acidity, but real fruit. I think we were very skeptic in July and very happy when we pick up the grape. Really. It was in the white, it will be a great vintage.
Marco, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you for you.